And if you were to completely start an Instagram account today, you're starting from zero, what would you do in terms of content? Like your advice for a content creator who wants to make a living out of it and grow now, what would you do? Would you do
start an OnlyFans.
Yeah, pretty much. Would you do like the more informative route or the raw stuff? Like, does vlogging even still work?
You know, it's tricky because if you make fitness only content, everything has been taught. Everything has been, back then I would make sit down videos of why fiber's important, why creatine's important. And that was entertaining stuff back then. I would watch those videos.
Me too.
But now everything has been made. You don't need to show people how to do a lat pull down. There's no secret tips on how to, grow your biceps. It's all out there, period. And there's plenty of information that's better than with actual science behind it of someone who's older that's already put the content out there. And then vlogs, it's like, why should someone care about your life randomly? Like, what's so special about you? So I think it is more difficult. It's the easiest time it's ever been to make money, but I think it's the most difficult time to make money because everyone's able to make it. There's no gatekeeper. The access to entry is available to everyone. So I think you really need to ask yourself, like, why would I watch my own content?
Yeah.
Like, what about it? Because if you're like, oh, I'm going to show people my daily habits of like, I eat this food and go to the gym. Like, yeah, you and 800 million other people do that same thing. Like, what about you?
Exactly.
And you just got to ask yourself, what is the unique thing? Because everyone has it. And, for me, I realized at a certain point, okay, being the strongest guy, competing in powerlifting, bodybuilding, whatever, that's not really a long-term plan for me. I'm not going to be the jacked person. I'm not going to be the strongest. There's always going to be someone stronger, leaner than you. But for me, I realized that, love it or hate it, my kind of goofy personality is what keeps people around. And I lean into that and I showcase my life. And I don't know. I think, when I started, there was no blueprint. There was no person to look to, be like, that's exactly what I need to do. There was no strategy. There was no, I'm going to try to perfect the algorithm. It was like, I just put out content because I want to put out content and it's what I want to make. And I'm going to grow or I'm not going to grow and I'm going to pivot a little bit. So it's not like I have some secret formula because, it's taken me 10 years to get to where I'm at. And a lot of people want to get to where I'm at in 6 months.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they're like, fuck this stupid. I hate it. I'm out.
My favorite piece of advice that you've given about social media, and a lot of people, you said, come up to you at expos and they're like, hey, should I start a YouTube channel?
I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it. And you nailed it. I'm pretty sure you've said this to the people in person and their faces kind of drop. But you go, if you're going to be successful on social media, you're not going to ask anyone for permission.
Yeah.
That is like the best piece of advice.
It's like, they're like, I'm thinking about starting a clothing company. I'm like, I was like, what do you mean you're thinking about it? I was like, didn't just do it. Yeah. Like, why do you need me to tell you to go after it?
That's it. And it's like, should I start a YouTube channel? It's like, I don't know, should you?
Yeah.
It's like, if you're asking Maxx Chewning, should you start a channel? Then probably not.
Yeah, it's like, you need my permission to start it. And again, every successful
business as well.
Every successful person that I know has not really needed to ask how to do something. Everyone just figures it out. And all you're doing in business is solving problems every day, every single day. And if you're thinking about starting a business and you need advice so early on before you've even started, then that's not, I don't think, in the cards for you, because it's like the first problem is figuring out how to start your business and you can't even solve that first problem. You can't get over the first wall. Then you're in for a world of hurt, right? And again, people just think that people are gatekeeping or trying to, limit their success. But I'm like, no. I've been through all of it. And I'm telling you, figuring shit out, making mistakes, wasting time, wasting money. Yeah, I wish that I didn't do a lot of them, but it's made me who I am today. And it's taught me what I've learned today. And everything that I've gone through, I know how to adapt and evolve. And it's turned me into what I am. So
tell us the story, okay? Just on about figuring things out for yourself. Tell us a story. It was either you or Christian. One of you had a manufacturer and you wouldn't, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't give you his manufacturer.
No, I wouldn't give him.
You wouldn't, yeah. Tell us a story about that. Because I think that's very interesting.
So Christian Guzman, who owns Alpha Elite, at one point, before he started Alpha Elite, was like, hey, Max, you have ever forward. Can you give me your clothing manufacturer? And I said, no, I can't. Now, when you hear that, you're going to be like, what a piece of shit. Max is, oh my God, whatever. Christian's done so much. I can't believe back then he should have never been friends with you. And I never processed when he said that on an episode. That unlocked a memory for me because I remember him asking and I remember saying no. And then when I heard that from him, I had to think of like, why did I say no? Right? Like, what was my reasoning? And I realized that. So I had a buddy. His name was Peter, and he owned a company called Ape Athletics. It's no longer around at the moment.
Yeah, I remember.
But he was a non-social media person, but utilizing social media influencers. I mean, he was kind of following in the footsteps of Gymshark, right? They didn't have a following. They just were using influencers. And basically when he started, he asked someone and like, can I have your manufacturer? And that person told him like, oh, in this industry, like people don't share that. So not in a mean way, but he was just like, oh, okay. Like, and then he figured it out. So when I asked him, he's my friend, he told me the same thing that person told him. And again, someone could have broken the cycle, I guess, but it was more of I was new to it and I just thought, oh, that's what people do. People don't share it for whatever reason. And if I look back now, I'm like, yeah, I should have just given it to him. But it was more like, oh, that's what happened to me. And I just thought that was the norm, as weird as it is, because it's not now.
Do people share manufacturers now?
I think it's just for like clothing and stuff. Like if you wanted my clothing manufacturer, like, and I've talked to any of my friends, like you can ask a bunch of people. I've linked them up with if someone wants to make hats, I'm like, oh, I'll say I have a hat manufacturer. Hat guy, Hey, you need a box of promo boxes. I want to say Christian, but I think like Heidi, I want to say maybe even Shawley, like the people who they make their promo boxes is my person. I gave that to them. Yeah. And like, so now it's totally fine because again, there's room for everyone. And it wasn't like I was trying to be like, no, I'm having success with this. I don't want you to have it, Christian. It was just, at the time, I was young and naive, and someone told me no and said, people don't share that information in this industry. And I was so new to it, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, you just so when someone asked, it was like, oh, no, people don't share that information.
Yeah. And there's also a lesson there as well, like, you learn how to sample and find manufacturers.
And he was like, like, that was the best thing ever because he learned how to do it. And it's not like, I'm like, that was my strategy all along. It was to teach you how to fish.
Yeah. You're such a good guy.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, like 100% of my reasoning was just because my friend Peter said no. And I don't think any ill intent of him because he heard it from the person before him. He's like, oh, people don't share that information. It's like a trade secret. It's like, okay.